Good afternoon, members of Spiritual Encrypted Encounters. How's everybody doing this afternoon? As for me, I'm doing great. This video, quick video. Send a couple of invites out. Just making an afternoon video for those that are on the other side of the world. That it's nighttime in their time zone. I've been taking it easy for about 2 weeks. I hadn't been feeling too well. Lost a brother, a combat brother, last week. He passed away. I don't know how he passed away, but lost a brother that was with me in Operation Desert Storm. And I wasn't feeling too well, so last week I kind of like took it easy with the workouts and stuff. Sometimes when you're going through things, that's when things surface up. When you're going through something like, for example, a death in the family, or you're not feeling too well, it's when things surface up, and anything that might not happen wants to happen, but that's part of a spiritual battle. People want to say that's part of life. To me, that's how I see it as a spiritual. It's part of the spiritual battle. When he said, when you're going through things already, he said, I lost a brother in arms. I was feeling sick. Things tend to happen that way, where it's like a domino effect. That is, if you allow it to happen. But we're spiritually blessed. There's so many spiritual gifts that we're blessed with. We got spiritual gifts of discernment. We got spiritual gifts of healing. We got so many spiritual, like I said, spiritual gifts that we are blessed at a daily basis. There's some people that have a spiritual gift of prophesizing, but in essence of a way, it can come to you as you're asleep, or the Heavenly Father shows you something right there and then, and what might happen. So what happens when something is shown to you spiritually? You get your guards up. In saying that, I just want to clarify something here to the viewers of Spiritual Encrypted Encounters. Look, when I go to certain locations, it doesn't matter what location it is. I don't even have to be here in town. Wherever it is, that I'm at, and I happen to catch something on video, the reason I place the things out there is to let the viewers know that the spiritual battle is very real. And that's why I place these pictures. I don't place these pictures because I'm looking for trouble. When things come your way, and if you don't know about the spirit, you don't know about the spiritual warfare, and you just live your life like a normal life, not thinking about nothing like that those things around us exist. Well, I'm just here to tell you, this has been my life since I was 2 years old. I've been spiritually blessed with the spiritual gift of discernment since I was 2 years old. So it is not that I'm looking for anything in any kind of way, shape, or form. It just happens a way, because I've been blessed with the spiritual gift since I was a kid, in which I can sense the things that are around me. If a robber came into your home and tried to break into your house, right? If a person is trying to rob your house, break into your home, what are you going to do? You're going to protect your foundation. For those who carry weapons, you're going to get your weapon, and you're going to try to take care of the matter if they're breaking into your home, because you're protecting your home. Me, when something enters my home spiritually, I protect my home. How do I protect my home? Not with a weapon, because you're not going to be able to fight with a weapon. The way I protect my home is spiritually. I bless my home. I pray. I call upon the Heavenly Father and the angels to come and protect my home. A weapon is not going to do anything against anything of the spirit, which is demonic, disembodied Nephilim, whatever you want to call them. It's not going to do nothing against that. You want to call them a Bigfoot or a Sasquatch? You hear stories or a dog man, where they're shooting at them, they don't do nothing, because they're from the hell realm. They're demonic beings that kind of manifest and take these forms. And I'm bringing it, I'm talking to you like this right now, because there's some people that understand this, that maybe they don't want to look into the spirit world now, into the spirit realm, or they don't want to awaken because they're being called. You see, if you can identify the pictures of the place out there, you're already awakened because you're seeing something that I'm seeing in spirit. That's what I'm placing it out there. I'm placing it there for a reason, is to awaken my brothers and sisters. I'm doing the job that I'm supposed to be doing. I got a second opportunity to live in this earth by the Heavenly Father. He blessed me to come back to my vessel, to my body, and I appreciated that. This has been like since 2004 all the way to now. It's been that many years that I got blessed to come into my body. So I'm doing His works. You know, like I said, for those who want to live a normal life, that don't want to open up or don't want to awaken, that's your choice. You know, I'm not forcing anybody to do something they don't want to, but when I'm placing these things out there, these pictures, it's for you to understand that it's very real. These things are very real in the spirit realm, in which they do exist. I know there's some people that go to college. They go to college because they're trying to learn something. They're trying to educate themselves. And when you go to college, for example, when you're going for psychology, well, they're just going to show certain things of psychology, how to try to get into people's minds. They're going to show you what they know, what they use to get into people's minds, and they're going to have certain terms that are supposedly, should I say, through doctrine or through medical terms. They're going to use these terms because they want to keep anything doing with psychology to be a mental state. They don't want it to, and that's what they want to keep it as. They don't want to open it up to the real problem of it, which is a spiritual attack. People that are going through something spiritually, people that are being demonized. They don't want to take it to the perspective. And the reason they don't want to take it to the perspective, because they want to heavily medicate their patients. They want to do experiments on the patients, surgeries on the patients, when they don't have to do that. Because the only thing the way to take care of somebody being spiritually attacked, demonized, and possessed is through rebuking it through Jesus Christ. Rebuking that unclean spirit or energy that the person might have attached on them, you clear it out in that nature. That's how you take care of somebody that's being demonized. Like I said, I'm not here to judge you or of what the works that you do. I've taken courses myself when I was in the military, criminal justice, criminal procedures, the do's and the don'ts, the Miranda rights. I know about all that kind of stuff. Just like I knew about the stuff, I did some psychology there too. But it did not make the psychology part did not equal itself to what I already knew spiritually before I even went to take that kind of stuff through college. What I'm putting out there is real proof and evidence that these things do exist and they're around us. And it's not because I'm looking for anything. As we're spiritually blessed, and we're blessed with the spiritual gifts of discernment, we're like a beacon of light. So it's not like I have to look for anything because they know who I am. So things come to me in which that's why I'm able to have the ability to identify it's real in depth, you know, of what I'm speaking. It's not about a picture. It's not about a blurry picture or people want to compare. No, it's not even anything about that. It's about that I'm putting these beings that exist amongst us, in which they're disembodied Nephilim that kind of manifest into any form they want to. And they're out to find a vessel. They're out to possess people. They're out to try to destroy people because their mission here on earth is exactly that. You know, when people talk about a super soldier, well, they were created a long time ago at the beginning of time by the Washers, which is the disembodied Nephilim. That was already vicious when they were the Nephilim. You know, they almost destroyed the earth when they were just the Nephilim. But then when the flood came, they became disembodied Nephilim. They're even worse. because we know them as demons now. They have the spiritual ability. You want to call it cloak and dagger. Let's talk about cloak and dagger. They're beyond cloak and dagger. They come at you invisibly. I have pictures. I have a video where three of this creatures come from out of nowhere, with just and appear right there in front of me, like a dust of wind. They appear right in front of me. I have several videos and pictures of them there, and I'm just when I make these videos and pictures, it's placing it out there so people can understand that this disembodied Nephilim, demons, whatever you want to call them, Bigfoot, Sasquatches, Mothman, Goatman, they do exist. They're very real, and they're only here for one purpose only, because they don't have the opportunity like we do to make it into the kingdom of heaven. So their mission here on earth is to try to invade as many vessels as possible, to destroy as many vessels as possible. So that vessel, which is us, so we can lose our opportunity to make it into the kingdom of heaven. That's what the mission is. You know, when I catch these images, it's not that I'm looking for anything. I'm just going with my spiritual gifts of discernment, and I can get you to the point where they're there. You know, and you've seen it in my pictures where they're there, and I have several other pictures that I don't even want to post, but you know, I want to awaken my brothers and sisters. That's my mission. Awaken my brothers and sisters that do it, just not to give them any power, because when you see something like that, you take authority over it, because we're greater than that. We're greater than them. We have the opportunity to make it into the kingdom of heaven. They don't. So this is my way of putting it out there on blast. You know, whether I know there's going to be certain people that they might take it offensively because everybody's trying to do their own work. So I'm just letting you know that these beings are demonic beings, and that's what the mission is, to try to get people to believe in them, right? The ones that believe in them, and they go searching for them, they believe in them and giving it power over them, then they come and attack not just your foundation, your vessel, they come and attack your household also. That's what they do. That's the opening. That's the only opening they need to come and invade your home or your vessel. That's which becomes a form of a possession. So how you doing, Sister Claire, Brother Carlito, Sister Dawn, Brother Art? Let's see who else is on here. Yeah, they don't want to believe, brother, and that's why I'm making this video right now. You know, when people say, "Well, you go out there and you're searching for them, you're attracting this demon," no, because I know where I stand spiritually. They know who I am. I don't have to go looking for them. They come to me. You know, like the only reason I went out there is because of what's happening to my dogs, and when I heard some activity happen in my backyard, and I have a tall fence. So what are you going to do with somebody if somebody's trying to break into your home, right? You have a weapon. You're going to pull out your weapon to protect your home. Well, me, I knew that it wasn't something physically. I know it was something spiritually, because this has happened before numerous times throughout my life, since I was a kid all the way to now. It's nothing new for me. This is like this part of my life. It's been like this for a very long time. That's why I already know what to do. I know exactly what to do. You know, so I go into the areas where I feel where they're at, and I take authority over them. Time by the we're going to tell them they're not welcome to come to my house. You know, that's what we have to do strictly. There's just some people that do not want to awaken, that want to live in this world, and they don't want to awaken spiritually, and that's understandable. You know, it's a scary topic to talk about for those that don't want to talk about it, but it does exist. That's why I'm placing these pictures. You've seen the one that I just placed. There was 4 of them. There was 2 on the ground, 1 standing, and there was what seemed to be a Sasquatch right beside the dog man. What are they? Demonic beings that kind of manifest to take this beastly figure forms. Can they live a imprint? Yes. When I was a kid, they left crap all over my freaking yard. I had to shovel crap for freaking a whole day with my brother and put it in a wheelbarrow, those old-fashioned wheelbarrows. They can leave not just a footprint, they can leave crap. They can leave shit all over your yard. Yeah, they can leave anything just to get you to believe in them. I mean, you figure they live it was 4 lots full of crap. You know, well, shit, there had to be some kind of animal that left this man, but there's a lot of crap for just one animal. So it had to be a lot of animals, and there was no way that there would be that many animals to come because the fence was locked with the chain and locked. There's no way. So what does it point to? It points to more of a spiritual thing. There's no way there was going to be that much crap in the yard. So when people find a footprint or they find a piece of hair or something like that, it's leaving you because it wants you to believe that they do exist in some kind of way, shape, or form so they can have domain over you. That's what they do. And like I said, I've been dealing with this for a very long time, and I know what I'm talking about, whether people want to agree with me or not. I've been doing this for a very long time, like I said, since I was 2 years old, and I know what they're capable of. You know, like I said, I was talking about a super soldier. There you go. That's a super soldier. Now they have the ability that they can be right there beside you. You don't even know it. That's why I catch those images of them right beside me, because they're right there, but I'm being protected. Because when I go into these areas, I protect myself. I say a little prayer. I have some protection around me. But even that, like that, sometimes we're not protected to the fullest because they can still attack some kind of way or other, try to find an opening. That's why I make the videos that I do. I work on the videos, go frame for frame, and I grab the images from the videos. And the reason I know they're there is because when I was walking and doing the videos, I can sense, I even, in the videos that I do, I even point where I'm sensing something. And that's why I'm capturing these images from what's there around me spiritually. Because I'm sensing it. I'm not visually seeing it. The only thing that I see on the video that was real was a deer that I actually saw. I didn't get to record the deer running, but I see a deer running on the grass. But all these other images that come out on the videos is because they were behind me when I was doing the video. There was nothing, and then I was looking in front of me, you know, and I couldn't see nothing in front, but they were behind me. That's how they normally like to attack, from behind. You know, they're not going to show themselves. They're not going to come to you, especially that I'm a spiritual person. They're not going to come take a form of a beast or whatever form they want to take in front of me. They can take, right? Because they know that I have I'm spiritually blessed. That spiritual gifts is somebody that if they were to manifest in front of me, because this happened before in Elms Grove, one of them manifested in front of me. I typed by the rebuke in Jesus' name, and boom, it splattered. It just went to different little pieces. There was one that was when I lived in Elms Grove that manifested into a red mass, and it looked like a silhouette of a person right in front of my home. And I thought it was a person, and when I swung, you know, it was physical. I swung because it was right there beside me. I swung and it lunged, and it was going through my body. As it was going through my body, I said, by rebuke in Jesus' name. And when I said that, it's just splattered. I had residue on me, which I had some scratches on my back when that happened. But in that sense of a way, they have these abilities that they do have. You know, they do have these abilities because they were part angel one time, which became demonic. But they have those abilities to be able to do that. Not just that, they can mimic voices, you know. When you talk about cloak and dagger, when you hear people say that I shot him, I swear to God, I shot him dead on. I'm a good shot. I shot him with a machine gun, but there's no body. The reason there's no body is because they're dealing with a demonic being, a disembodied Nephilim. And I'm just putting it out there this way. That's why I put the images that I'm capturing. You can see the picture, the last picture I posted, I had 2 dogmen, which seemed to be like a werewolf, a dogman, then one standing, and it looked like a Bigfoot standing right beside it, either a Bigfoot or a dogman with his mouth open. One of the two. But there was 4 of them. You know, they say that the Legion is many, right? What does the Legion is set out to do on this earth is to possess people. Well, the Legion is many, so they come in numbers. They're never alone. When you encounter one, there's always other ones around you. They're always around you. And like I said, the Legion comes in numbers. And that's what we're seeing from when I hear things from the big community, the thought go, oh, that we're seeing a lot of dog man, a lot of Bigfoot. They're coming out of the woodwork. They're coming out of the woodwork because people are invading the territory, and they're coming out because they have no place to stay. They're going into the environment, and they're there to come. No, what they're actually seeing is this disembodied Nephilim, this demonic beings that do exist, and they're here right now. In freaking spiritual, it's a spiritual battle. They're here around amongst us. I'm catching them right here nearby my house. You know, it's a real spiritual warfare that's happening right now, and we have to be ready. And when I was maintaining a love foundation, I really meant it, man. It's very important for you not to anger, not to have hatred. Look, I got invited. I'll give you an example of that. I'm going to give you an example of that right now. I had gone this Saturday out, and I have played some games, and they invited me to go to this place, to play some. It's a place where you pay $5 and you play free games. So I'm there, everybody's having a good time, and I'm playing some free video games from the arcade games from back in the day, you know, having a good time. So it's closing time, and we're fixing to leave, and next thing you know, there's people fighting out there, and I'm like, man, I don't want to get involved in none of this stuff, you know. So they're fighting around, women and guys pushing each other around. And I already know that's a spiritual opening right there, because you have to maintain your love foundation. So I'm not trying to get involved or look at everything. And then one of the guys hits my car, man. They hit my car, and I'm like, and within myself, I said, man, I need to maintain level, because that's an opening. It's different from person to person, right? So I maintain my love foundation, and I'm right beside one of those guys. And in my mind, the military instinct kicked in, and I could do something, but I just tapped him on his back. I said, hey man, take care of your guy, you know, get a hold of him, take care of him, you know, get control of him. And he grabbed him, and he took him to the side. But you see, the other mentality, military mentality, I could have done something, but I chose not to, because I knew that what was jumping from person to person was exactly that, what I talk about, these demonic beings. They're always waiting to find a spiritual opening, to spiritually attack somebody. That's what they do. That's how they attack. So I had to maintain my love foundation, and I get upset, not worry about did they hit the car, and just get out of there safely. And I went out of there safely because, like I said, that's what it is about. When you choose a certain path in life, you got to live a certain way, right? Well, I chose not to anger, not to have hatred in spite of what happened, and let bygones be bygones and just move on forward. Because I know there's something greater that I have to protect. And what I have to protect is my vessel. And that's for everybody. Everybody needs to protect their vessel. Yeah, especially if you're the head of household at your house and you're in charge of your household. If your vessel gets spiritually attacked or gets invaded, semi-possessed or possessed, and you go into your home, well, guess what? All that, like I said, legion comes in numbers. All that is going to be all around inside your home, and it's going to affect the rest of your family, your next of kin, your children, your mother. Whoever comes in there is going to be affected by it. You're going to be affected. Everybody's going to be affected by it. That's why you have to maintain the love foundation always. That's why I always preach that. I could say verses from the Bible, but I'd rather speak in this way for people to understand where I'm coming from. You know, that's why I'm placing the pictures of proof. You know, many people can say many things, but if you know, nowadays you gotta show somebody a picture, or you gotta take them to the location so they can witness it for themselves, that it's there. There's something there. Brother Armando, let him rest, his soul rest in peace. He knew there was something there because what happened to him, what he saw. He knows there was something there that was supernatural, or should I say demonic. They had abilities to change, to manifest into different forms, even into my form. And he knew what was in that area. And many others that live in that area in Elms Grove knows of what's in that area. That's why I moved. I couldn't take it no more. You know, fighting every day, getting a little bit of sleep, and then nighttime the same things would happen every night. You know, I got tired of that spiritual drama, should I say, that was happening every day. But But yes, brothers and sisters, I'm just making this video just to let this out. I've been some of the good works. What I've been doing is sometimes if somebody is being a smart person with me, I just block them from the groups because I don't want to deal with it. I don't have time to be trying to argue with somebody that doesn't want to listen to reason or doesn't want to see where I'm coming from. So I just block the individual, especially if they continue to be disrespectful or be trollish. I just block them. That's what I've been doing, and I just focus on the people that really want to know, that they see something and they ask me a question. I'll respond to them because they're asking me respectfully, and I'll respond to them respectfully. If they want a location, if they want a picture, or they want something, I'll give it to them because of being respectful. I was brought up to respect your elders, to respect everybody, and that's why I am. So all these people that come at me in a negative way, I just block them. I don't got time for that. I don't got time to see what they're coming from, what they're trying to say. I don't got time for that because I know what I'm saying is true. Because, like I said, I've talked to them, I got videos, I got pictures, I've been through it. And I know sometimes people say, well, Mr. Mr. Abe is taken away from the cryptic community. How can I take away from the cryptic community? Because if the cryptic community is established, that there is Bigfoots and dogmans and whatever they want to establish, well, the evidence should be there to speak for itself. So how am I discrediting the cryptic community when I'm bringing a different kind of evidence? When they talk about that the Bigfoots are cloaked, well, I'm showing you the cloaking of not just the Bigfoots, but the dogman. But arrows are pointing for me as a spiritual person for them to be disembodied Nephilim, demonic, in which they have the ability to manifest into different forms that can mimic different voices. They can mimic voices of your loved ones that are not here no more on this earth. They can mimic their voices. They can take their form. Why? Because at one time the Watchers were angels, right? They created the Nephilim, which were part human, part angel, and when they went against God, God turned it into demons. But they have those angelic capabilities to be able to manifest into whatever they want and to mimic voices. And they're here as tricksters. They're here to deceive as many people as possible. What they remind me of, I'm going to be honest with you, whoever it is, the Greek mythology, they remind me of Loki, of Loki or Hades, what's his name? Hades, Loki's, that they have the ability to trick people. They're tricksters, they like to deceive people in the nature, like magicians of some sort. That's what they do, and if they can get to your mind, then they have one over you. And especially for those that don't know nothing about the spirit, how the spiritual realm works, they're more targeted than I will because I've already been through it. I already know what they're about. They show me a flesh form, but they went from, that was the last time I seen the flesh form, because then they came at me in the cloak and dagger form, where the cryptic community was called cloak and dagger. They came to me, but I call it spirit form because that's what it looks like, a spirit, like a ghostly form. That's how they came in and attacked me spiritually. Yes, I will share it, sister. How you doing, Sister DeAnn? I'll share it here. I don't know. I'm trying to keep it within here. I would like to share it to other groups, but at the same time, I don't want no problems for nobody. That's why I just been doing here. But I will share it on YouTube, Spiritual Encrypted Encounters. I have a site there where when I finish the videos, I download the video and I place it on YouTube on Spiritual Encrypted Encounters. And guys, so I've invited many people. People that doubted me at the beginning, at the first. I've invited them to the area. There's been some people that have gone there. I've invited some of this, what they call themselves, what do you call them? Cryptid investigators or whatever kind of investigators. I've had people before. I haven't had a cryptid investigator go into the area. I've had people that were spiritual, like what do you call those groups of people that are of paranormal. I've had a group go in there once with some equipment and stuff, and they got spiritually attacked in that area, and they left. They lost 2 of the members that we had to carry them out of there. You know, they brought some equipment. They never called me back, and they never sent the footage of the recordings of what they caught there. I never heard from them again. I've had a person, there was a Wiccan, like 2 Wiccans that came in there that said they could close the portal and all this kind of stuff. No, I didn't know nothing about Wiccans at the time, you know, so I invited them over. I showed them where the location was, and they got spiritual like that. This is when I used to live there. There was another person that came from California. They said they can go out of their body, you know, they can travel out of their body and stuff like that. That person got dropped. They got spiritually attacked so bad that I seen a giant red orb. I was in the path because I had to take her to the spot. You know, I protected myself. I had my protection. She stood at the spot where I told her that I stopped where the closest one was to me. Right off the bat, she seen it. How you doing?
Hey, how are you?
Alrighty. How you doing, sister?
A little rough, but I'm okay. I had to work.
Yes, I'm talking about the situation what happened with that individual. What happened is I took her to the spot where I was standing the night when I encountered the 6. She wasn't in there 1 minute because it had already gotten dark. And all she said was, "Oh my God." And she took off running. And when she was running, she passed me up. I seen a giant red orb chasing her. He chased her out of the path. And as she went towards the park, I went following her, and I found her on the ground. She was passed out. I picked her up, and she had welts all over her body, like big old welts all over her body. You know, she had no energy. It drained her energy. And I never seen her again. You know, this individual.
So, I heard you briefly before live cut out, and I was trying to join.
Yes.
You were talking about the Nephilim, and I know
Yes,
that you wanted me to talk something on that. Is this interaction that you're talking about right now? Is that part of it?
Yes.
Okay, so what exactly do you want to know?
No, I mean, you can speak whatever you want to speak. Whatever you want to say to the audience, you're more than welcome. This is an open platform. You know, to me, sharing is caring, and the more wisdom and knowledge that you can share or that we can talk about, you know, it's good. It's good for people to understand that these certain things do exist.
Yes, it really is important. My family has been involved mostly because most of the men in our family are deacons.
Yes.
And they serve in different churches. And a lot of that came because, excuse me, I have to get up just a second. Because of interaction with different people from the time my family got here in the 1600s. Yep. I first learned about the Nephilim themselves when I started studying deliverance ministry.
Yes.
I did deliverance ministry for 8 years. A lot of it had to do with things like, well, people think they're possessed by a demon, or they have interaction with a bad spirit. Hang on just a second. Let me open this up. My little kitten's trying to say hi. Okay. So, the Nephilim are actually a race of half-breeds.
Yes.
When the Watchers came here, the Watchers were supposed to just stand back and observe mankind, give us a nudge when we were heading in the wrong direction.
Exactly.
They weren't supposed to interfere. But in Genesis 6, you can read that they interfered because they found the women of earth lovely. They found
Yes.
the women beautiful, and they wanted to marry them. So when those angels, those watchers, went into marry women and bear children, then came the Nephilim. And
Yes.
after Genesis 6, you read that in those days, giants were on the earth, and they were men of renown, which means that they were very powerful. They were
Yes.
exceedingly powerful and very large compared to us. Some people would call them giants. One friend of mine, he
So
thinks
they were the
they were,
size of like oak trees or stuff like that, like an
yeah,
oak.
they were over 8 feet tall. They were huge.
Yes.
One of my friends actually agreed with me that they were actually in the race of the Philistines
Yes.
because of their size. And that's also where Goliath's name means giant.
Yeah, like the Raphaim. Yes.
Yes. At the time, there were angels that were sent back to gather the hosts together and take them back to heaven. But at that point, God considered them fallen. And they were part of the 1/3 that fell.
Yes.
So at that point, they're no longer angels.
Yes,
Now
and
they were born angels. Hmm?
this is what I was trying to tell people about the Nephilim is that when the flood came, they destroyed the Nephilim, which they became disembodied Nephilim, which they became spirits, which we know as demons
Yeah.
now.
Yes. Well, now there are different demons. You have demons
Yes.
that were born demons that were made that way. Then you have demons from fallen entities that were just out of the sight of God.
Yes. And the
Mm-hmm.
thing is that this Giselle was uncreated by God. They don't have the opportunity to make it into the kingdom of heaven like we do. And that's why they come and
Mm-hmm.
attack us because they're trying to. That's why you hear about suicides and stuff like that because that's what they do. They go
Yeah.
and make the
Yeah.
host so people can commit suicide and they'll lose the opportunity to make it to the kingdom of heaven. That's what their mission is here on earth, And I've been dealing with this, whether just about an Nephilim demon. I just call them demons, but I know that
Mm-hmm.
when I say the Our Father or talk about it, they acknowledge that, and
Uh-huh.
they're afraid of the Our Father, the deliverance prayer. I remember I was doing the deliverance prayer, the Our Father, and that path. When I was saying it, I could hear them talking to me telepathically, and they kept on saying the Holy One, as I was saying the Our Father. So they stayed away from me. I was saying the Our Father, and I was calling upon the Heavenly Father to send me His angels to protect me. So I walked
Yeah.
out of the path safely. But
The other thing to look for too, because they were once heavenly hosts, they still have the TK, the telekinetic and telepathic ability to
yeah,
communicate with us. They
and
can they can still nudge us in the wrong direction. If they
yes,
think that we're going to step away from them where they have control and we're going to step away from them and get more, we're getting closer to God, they can start whispering falsehoods in your ears
yes,
and into
yes,
your mind, and to the point where you'll believe it because, oh, well, it was an angel. I tried to explain to people that were in one of the groups. There was a
that's very
Facebook
true,
group.
sister. You're right about that. I hear people with this, they hear voices. I said, look, if it's
Hmm.
telling you something bad, don't believe in it. Rebuke, take
Test
authority.
it.
And I
Yeah.
said, do something. Instead, if it's giving you a bad image, doing something bad, do something positive out of that. Work
Yes.
out, go for a walk, do something different than what it's
Well,
trying to show you.
the
Especially,
Bible says the Bible says test the spirits and see if they're of Him.
yes,
So
yes,
that's very important. And the way that I teach people when they come to me, I tell them there are easy ways. If you hear it in your mind, take some holy oil and put the sign of the cross on your head. This will protect your mind. Put the sign of the
yes,
cross on your crown. Protect your crown. Put the sign of the cross over your heart to protect your heart. Put it on both hands and both feet to protect everything you touch and everywhere you walk. If it goes away, then it's not from God. It's from somewhere else. Because
yes,
most of these entities, they want entrance into our body. They want to relive the world or to live the world the way humans do. And they're trying to access control through us.
Yes.
So we have to protect ourselves. We have to protect our spirit. They can't take our soul. Our soul came from God. A lot
Yes.
of people think that their souls are going to be stolen. That's impossible. That will not happen. God would never let that happen. But why does he allow us to have interaction with these beings? Technically, I'm not saying he doesn't know. I'm saying that some of us are in this realm where that education is necessary, because we have to learn to test the spirits, because when someone does come to us for help, it might be an indication where it's time for us to help them. They're so stuck, or they are being, I would say, demonically oppressed
Yes.
by these entities, and they don't know a way out. So they come to those of us that do have the deliverance gifts for help and getting them
Yes.
separated from the entity that's trying to control them.
Yes.
And it's not easy. Depending on the bloodline, they can be both. Yes, there are some Nephilim that come from the branch of ancient Sumeria, okay,
Yes.
ancient Mesopotamia. They were involved in the very first crossover from multi-theistic, polytheistic gods to monotheism. And what they believed in were the Anunnaki. Okay,
Yes.
and the Anunnaki, a lot of people think the Anunnaki were Nephilim. They weren't. They were two different entities altogether. The Anunnaki were a race of beings that were believed to have come from the stars here.
Yes.
And so a lot of people think, well, are the Anunnaki the Nephilim? Are they the both? They can be both.
Yes.
Bama's right. They can be both. And some of
Well, I
these.
heard from a person that works for the government. He was like
Mhm.
he was in there deep, like you could say like a Green Beret or further than that. And he told me about the Anunnaki, and he showed me in the stars where they come from. He said that I guess he was top secret, and he said that they exist, that they exist, and the government knows about them.
Are you
They know
talking
where
about
they're at.
from Sirius B? You talking about
Was
the
that?
ones from? Are you talking about the ones from Sirius B?
Yes. The
Yes.
ones
Yeah.
he showed me
Mm-hmm.
a in the sky where they come from, and he's
Yeah.
telling me they do exist, that the government knows that they interact with it. There's some of them there that they interact with the government, But that's what he
Yes.
was telling me at the time. I didn't know whether to believe it or not because I was going through my own thing, what I was dealing with
Mhm.
there, and he was just telling me about that and about certain other beings that do exist that come from other realms that are there to fight that spiritual battle, about of
Mhm.
the balance, so it's like I
Yes.
just listened to him, and like I said, it's about maintaining the Love Foundation. With the Love Foundation, that's the greatest gift of all the spiritual gifts. Without that, the spiritual gifts are meaningless. That's why I always tell everybody, I always maintain the Love Foundation. I've been in situations where I'm being threatened right in front of me, but I ignore the threat and I put a spiritual block, and I don't allow the negativity to affect me. Once they stop their talking, I'll say, God bless you, I love you. And the negativity, whatever entered them, leaves the body because I didn't allow that to transfer itself. That's what he tries to do. Sometimes it transfers to the tear ducts, to the nose, to the mouth, and through the ears.
Mhm.
I had
This
a
is
female
that's
one.
why the. Have you ever seen the Dogon tribe? The documentaries of the Dogon tribe.
No,
They,
no, I haven't heard, but I will look into it.
okay, the Dogon tribe live in one of the most harsh environments that there is here on Earth. But
Yes,
they claim that their people originally came from Sirius B, but they were aware of the other entities that were out there. And one of the reasons why a lot of tribal people do their piercings like this, or they put the holes in their ears, is not because of
it's to
just looking
protect
fancy.
themselves.
Yes, it was for protection. And being that I'm tribally affiliated here, it just went to, the rollover for here. But one of the things I became interested in about the Dogon tribe were that they believed that those people came here and they lived here. They turned
Yes.
other people into slaves. And that's part of one of the reasons why a lot of people get confused. There's so much information out there that's, oh, well, you know, they're demonic, or, oh, you know, these people didn't exist, or, oh, they were angels, or, you know, or
Yes.
something. They're just bad spirits. And I tell people, I was like, you know, I understand why you believe that. You've not had an encounter with them. You wouldn't know what to expect when you
Yeah.
did. So until they did, there's no way to explain to them how this entity in front of them is going to work. Like my sister and I, for instance, I don't know what it is about our family other than the divinity in the family coming down from several generations. We have divinity all in our family.
Yes.
And my sister and I, we want that to pass along to our kids. We do. As adults, we want to pass that on to our kids.
Yeah, we've got to protect our next of kin, you know.
Yes. Then so for me and my sister, they come after us a lot because we stand in that word.
Yeah,
We
that,
stand in
and then
love.
you're a beacon of light because you're spiritually blessed. You got the spiritual gift. So that's why I was trying to tell when a person that they said, "Well, you're looking for," I said, "No, I'm not looking for nothing. They just know who I am, and they come at me because they're trying to find a spiritual opening because they're trying to attack my
They want
vessel."
to shut you up.
Yes,
When
that's
you talk
basically
about
what it is.
love, when you talk about love, there are only two things that exist on earth. That's love and fear.
Yes.
Everything else operates out of fear. If you don't operate out of love, you're operating out of fear.
With love, you don't have no fear, no anger, no hatred, no vengeance, no forgiveness, in which
Mhm.
he closes any doors and openings for them to attach themselves or possess you. And you're above them, in which when they try to come and attack you spiritually, you take authority over them and not be afraid. Like I said, fear is an opening. So you just
Yeah.
take authority and say, hey, welcome here. I taught by the big in Jesus' name, be gone, and they're gone
Mhm.
because you're not giving them that opening through fear or anger or hatred or vengeance.
Now,
And that's what I've noticed.
I have something I'd like to add about that. One of the cases that I had to assist with involved a young child, and the child was the person being attacked in the family.
Yes.
I get asked multiple times, well, I can see people as adults because we've got life experience and we may have made choices down the road that weren't exactly good for us, where things can attach to us. Things like maybe we become tasty for a Nephilim, to kind of look and be like, oh, that person right there, they're in between, they're here and there. Maybe I can coax them this way. But what about a child? A child is innocent. A child
Yes.
doesn't have the experience. That's precisely why. They have a life light on them. Their soul light is so bright that these bad things have to go and they feed on it. They feed on it, and the more they can
Yes.
pull that child away from its parents, the more they can pull
Yes.
that child away from love, the
That's
stronger
what
they
I
get.
that's what I caught in my mobile home. If you ever heard the show of if you've seen that This Was 100 episode, that there
Yes,
was one of those entities over my nephew that was only a couple of months old, like 2 months old. It was baby. It was
yeah.
over him, stuck in his life source. And when I went,
Hmm.
the door was open. That's the thing. The only thing they didn't mention that the door was wide open. So it took off, and I chased it, and I could see it. It wasn't running; it was hovering off the ground like 2 feet. It was just a
Wow.
dark entity, and it started going from. There's another thing that didn't mention on that is that it went through a tree, and I thought it was behind the tree, and then I said, identify yourself, and then it came out of the tree, went into another tree, and I kept on saying, identify yourself. And then he went up into the air. And he was laughing, and he looked like a man with a top hat, and he was laughing and laughing real loud. It was echoing through the park. And I was saying, "Dear Father," but they like, especially if the child is not baptized. If they're not baptized,
Yeah, they
that's
don't have
that,
they don't have I know my personal belief is that every child is born with the Spirit of God on them, but it's up
Yes.
to them when they get to the age of right and wrong.
Yes.
When they get to the age of accountability, that's where it really counts. That's where having the baptism from the time they're born really counts.
Yes.
You want that for them. I let mine choose. The hardest part is like when you get teenagers, for instance. They really don't know what they want. They're going through that weird stage. They're too old to be babies and too young to be adults. And they're trying and testing and doing all this stuff. Some of the people that I've had come to me have teenage children, and their question is, well, they went into this line of interest with these books like Harry Potter. I'm not saying Harry Potter is a problem. I'm just saying that they think that witchcraft is cool, and they think that all this other stuff is cool. Then I have these Wiccan parents coming to me with their teenage kids going, well, I think one of my kids is possessed. And I said, well, you're pretty much setting them on a silver platter and sitting them out there and saying, here it is, come eat.
Especially if they're messing with a Ouija board or
yes,
other forms of a Ouija board, like certain things that they can do with sticks and rocks.
Do you remember back in the day when they had to find water? They would use two rods from like a willow tree or not a willow tree, or a dogwood tree, and they would hold them and they would go where the lines crossed to find water. It was called water witching. They called it water witching. I figured out that they use dowsing rods. Some people use dowsing rods in ghost hunting shows.
Yes.
I'm like, it's just another tool. All you're doing is opening another door.
Or for example, all those things that they say, oh, we got a spirit box, we got a this. That's an opening for whatever's around to go in there and show itself. So, but they don't understand that it's not just mimicking a voice through the voice box. It could actually attack them spiritually, attach itself to them also, because they left the opening for it, right? They created it.
And the other thing I heard you mention earlier that really made me definitely, I have to say this. You were talking about how those entities from the ethereal planes, it doesn't matter if it's a Nephilim or a fallen, when they come to talk to you and communicate with you, they can imitate a loved one.
Yes.
They can. A lot of people think they're talking to the spirit of Aunt Essie from New York or wherever she came from. They're not talking to Aunt Essie. They're talking to one of these things. Every time you open a doorway, you don't know who or what you're communicating with.
That's one of the reasons a lot of people will do the Ouija board, because they want to communicate with a loved one or somebody that passed away that they might have known, and they open up the portal, right? And they're actually being tricked by the tricksters, making it seem like it's them because they'll spell out their name, but it's just leaving an opening because they're believing in it. You know, it doesn't matter if they're believing in what the Ouija board is saying, whether the name is David or Michael or whatever the name is. They're leaving the opening to get spiritually attacked. No difference than when people see a Bigfoot or a Dogman or a Mothman and they start believing in it. That's an opening to get spiritually attacked, especially if it's that demonic being that's manifesting itself with that nature. It's kind of like I was sitting on the park bench, and my friend had gotten married and moved to Pennsylvania. She had called me. She had made it home safely to Pennsylvania. I'm in Texas, and I'm sitting on the park bench, right? Next thing you know, I hear her calling my name from the creek, and it's dark. And she said, "Abe," and I'm looking. And I was like, in my mind, that sounds like Bill, you know? And it's like, "Hey," and I said, "Is that you, Bill?" And she's like, "Yes, it's me. Come here," you know? And I'm like, wait a moment. I just finished talking to her on the phone. Maybe it's just my imagination playing games. And then she's like, I hear her voice, "Come here, Abe," calling me from the creek. And then I hear some rocks dropping. And then I hear one of her other daughters calling my name from the creek. It changed, because it would come visit me. It changed to 3 different voices, to my friend Belle and 2 of her daughters trying to get me to go to the creek. When that happened, I stood up, and I could hear a man laughing real loudly coming from where I had my encounter. I just walked home instead, because they were messing with me, So I didn't want to leave the opening believing that was my friend, because that's what they wanted me to do, to believe in it so they can attack me. And
Yeah.
that's what they do. There was one evening that one of them, my dog was barking outside. A little chihuahua was barking, letting me know there's something there.
Mm-hmm.
And when I went to open my door, I seen a woman sitting on my neighbor's porch. So I'm looking at this woman, and she's looking at me, and she stands up because she's sitting down. She stands up and she walks down the stairs because it's a mobile home park. And I'm looking at her from my side. I'm inside my gate.
Mm-mm.
And I was like, man, she looks familiar, And I'm looking at like, no way. And I said, Our Father. I start praying to Our Father because what I'm seeing here is the form of my mother. And the reason I'm saying there's no way is because my mother had been deceased since 1985. Mind you, this is 2015. So there's no way it was her. So whatever it was took her form. So it went in between the mobile homes and went down the opposite street. And he's looking at me and she's smiling at me. And I start saying the Our Father, and I'm walking parallel in the opposite street, but then she just fades away. But that's what they do. They want you to believe. Imagine how many people you hear about, like those, you remember those vampire movies where the vampires, like, the only way they can come inside if you invite them. No difference than these demonic beings. If you leave that opening.
The other thing too that I'd like to reiterate here, because we do have cryptid lovers that are in our groups.
Yes.
These entities, like I have encountered, like when my sister and I were young, I've always lived out in the woods, with the exception of my adult life. And when I was young, we'd have to walk up the dirt driveway off the dirt road to get to the house. And it was at least a half a mile walk.
Yes.
And we're going down these little bitty windy roads, doing what kids do, playing with tadpoles and water puddles. And all of a sudden you hear, psst. Okay, well, we knew there was literally nobody out there. There couldn't have been anybody out there. But my sister and I have encountered the Thin Man a lot.
Yes.
Shadow people, what most people think are shadow people.
Yes.
All I can say is, yes, I do believe these entities exist. They're here to pull us away from the light. But also, if you're born with divinity, that's every child, every person is born with divinity until you step away from it. But if you follow that line of divinity into your adulthood, then your name is in their mouth. Your name is in their mouth constantly. They know who you are. And they want everything in the world to take you away from the light. That's what they want. Now, as far as separated spirits, now I have encountered multiple, but they're very brief. When they're earthbound, it doesn't take but a couple of seconds. Like, I'll give you an example. One afternoon, I was getting off from work, and I was working for Morgan County Sheriff's Department. And I was working, second and third shifts so that I could sleep while my kids were in school. Well, I go to drop them off at school, come back home, getting ready to go to bed. I walk into my bedroom. Standing through the center of my bed is this lady. And I could see right through her, but I could see her presentation just like she was. I found out like 15 minutes after that there had been a very nasty wreck out on the interstate, which was maybe 4 or 5 miles from my house.
The spirit came to you for you to help her to cross over.
We're the light. We're like one of my girlfriends, she sees stuff like that. She says, you're not like a candle like most people. You have a lighthouse beacon over your house.
Beacon. A beacon of light. That's why they come. That's why they come. And sometimes they come when they know, because they know, just like, the Holy Spirit, Jesus, the past, the present, they know what's in your timeline. They know what you're going to encounter. So they come and try to interfere in that because they already know what you're going to do. Yeah. There's times that I'm going to help somebody spiritually, and I'm sensing the spirits around me that tell me, don't do it. You better not. And I still help them out because I already know that God is not going to tell you not to help somebody out, or the angels are not going to but it's something
Exactly.
negative is going to tell you that. And those, or the voices or the whispers that people sometimes hear, they think it's an angel, but it could be something else, which would
That's
be,
what I try to tell people. I got in trouble in a room because I tried to explain to a couple of the younger girls that were there who believed they were hearing angels talk to them.
yes.
And I said, well, an angel would never try to get you to have sex with them. First off, they can't.
That sounds like a succubus. Is there,
Yes.
is
Um,
it incubus,
and
incubus, incubus.
uh, one girl, she tried to tell me that Gabriel and I had an affair. And I said, Gabriel, wait, you talking about the Archangel Gabriel? And I explained to her, one of the ladies that was heading the group, she and I were the admins. And I told her, I said, you have to be careful what you allow these kids to say in group. These other kids are going to be hearing it and they're going to be believing it. And she said, well, I can't tell them that angels don't lie. I'm saying, I can't tell you that angels don't
Yes.
lie because what they're hearing is not an angel.
Yeah.
That's not an angel.
Especially if it's when they're asleep and they're being spiritually attacked in that manner sexually in their sleep. It's demonic. It's you got the incubus and the incubus and the succubus that travel together that do that. They always travel together as a pair. You know, like some people
Yeah.
focus, it'll appear in a distance and they're focusing on what they see in a distance, but if they have the spiritual ability to look to the left or to the right, they're going to see the one that's right there by them, which is the one that's
Yeah.
actually draining their life source, you know. I had one that was spiritually attacking me in that way, and I was able to awake from a dream, and she was right in front of my face, looking at sucking my energy, and I said,
Were
"I
you
rebuke in
you were
Jesus' name," and
tired?
she just boom,
Yeah.
boom, she just splattered like just went into different little molecules, you know. But
Yeah.
that was the last time I ever had to go. I mean, that I experienced that because I took care of the situation. But
Yeah.
that's not good if they're thinking that they slept with an angel in that manner. They're
That really
being,
bothered me a lot. It really did
yeah,
bother
she's
me a
being
lot. These
spiritually
young
attacked by
girls.
something. Yes,
Yeah, I prayed for protection over her, and I had really hoped that in our group she would stay. But
yes,
like when I talked to the lady that owns the group, I told her, I said, look, I can't condone this kind of behavior because of the line of work that I'm in. I am ordained as a spiritual counselor. I can't come in and say, oh, yeah, you're hearing an angel. This angel's trying to go to bed with you. That's not an angel. You might be hearing, we might get messages from angels, but it's not going
yes,
to be like everybody thinks. Most of the time, like my sister and I, our experiences are similar. If she has one, I have one
yes.
because they come in groups. And my sister and I were born in pairs. We had a third that passed in
Yeah,
between us.
I have a sister that she knows when I'm going through something, and she contacts me, and I know when she's going through something. I can sense
Yeah,
it. You know, we're all spiritually connected,
yeah,
and through the Heavenly Father, all of us. So we know when somebody's going through something spiritually.
yeah,
And through the spiritual gift discernment, we're able to be able to see exactly what's happening, because
yeah,
it's through that authority of the spiritual gift discernment they have to identify themselves to us, so we can do what we do spiritually.
yeah. And I've actually got a couple of active cases right now that I'm working on. I have a gentleman that's being oppressed, and then I have a lady, her, I don't know if you'd call them boyfriend and girlfriend anymore. They're older than me. They still live together in the same apartment, but one is downstairs, the other's upstairs.
Yes.
And when she comes in, she gets attacked the minute she hits the door.
Oh
And when she
wow.
gets into her room, I told her, I said, you can't, it's not, I guess I would say it's not politically correct to interfere with their space without asking. You don't want to go in and hang something like a blessed cross or take
Yes.
holy water and throw it all over their room, or whatever. If you haven't asked them first, because you don't know what kind of reaction they're going to have, and you don't know if you can control that reaction when it hits. So I told
Yes.
her, I've actually got a couple of people, and I told them, I was like, look, first thing we have to ask permission. I have a very weird, uncanny sense of discernment. I can feel it and see it on people. I trust only what God tells me is right.
Yes.
Because sometimes those of us that are gifted with prophetic visions and the gift of discernment and the gift of spirits, we are that close to that realm where they communicate with us too.
Yes.
And we have to be very careful. Dogman, I used to think Dogman was a friend. Everybody else talking about Beast of Bray Road and all of this.
They're not friends. There's those. They're the demonic beings that I got attacked by them in Elms Grove. That's why the reason I say don't think they're your friends. You think you're your friend, they're already believing they're your friend. Well, that's all they need to attack you, to attach themselves to you or possess you. So
And
when I hear these people saying that they're friends, like that's it. They're leaving an opening to get attacked. Well, come on in, friend. Come into my home. Come into my foundation, friend. They're going to oblige. They're going to come and attach themselves spiritually to those individuals.
Yeah,
I've heard of people like that, and about the people that live gifts for those. That's crazy. That's because they're believing that it's something in that nature real.
There is, though, culturally, there is something that we do. I'm Wolf Clan.
Yes.
My grandfather is not Wolf Clan. He's Turtle Clan. But we're Cherokee. And one of the things he always told me, he said, sometimes, my little kitten, sometimes to keep a spirit from coming into your home, or trying to come into your home, or asking to come into your home, we leave them a plate to appease them. We leave them a small little offering of food or drink or something, and we take it away from the house. He taught us you take it way away from the house and you put it where the fence line is so they know that's where the boundary is and they can come no closer. You don't invite them close to your house. You take it away and you put it near a fence line where they can see it, because you want them to know that's the boundary. You can come no closer. If you keep on your side, then I will bring you this. I'll bring you this little bit of food when we eat. It's not so much as an appeasement as it is an offer to keep them away from the inside of your home.
It's kind of like I wouldn't even give them any kind of offering, because then that means that I'm giving them some kind of power. So I don't do that.
I understand.
I just go in and say, look, I'll go into their territory. I said, look, you were at my house the night before, so I'm here at your territory now, letting you know that you're not welcome to come to my house. And I won't come bother you in your territory, so long you don't come bother me in my house. We good. I'll leave you all alone. But you come to my house, I'm gonna come over here. I'm gonna pray, and I'm gonna do what I do spiritually.
Yeah.
And I'm, like you said, it's almost the same thing, but in a different way. And that's the only reason I cut those images. Most of those images are from my videos, because I go live for Spiritual Quick Encounters. My original group was Positive Spiritualist. And, like I said, I got into mixed up because I was doing spiritual work, and then they brought me to the cryptic community with Mr. Vic Cundiff. At that time, I think certain individuals were affiliated with them, that they're not, one of them passed away, the other one's not my friend, but they were affiliated with them. I made a show with Mr. Vic Cundiff, and he let me bring the perspective of that I believe there were demonic beings because of the time frame when it happened. It happened at 3 a.m. to like around 3:15 when I was in the woods, when I initially went to help the woman that was yelling for help. It was at 3 a.m, and that's why I felt that it was more demonic, But one of the nighttime guy that can investigate was working for Mr. Cundiff. He had an experience, and he said that he seen me calling from the creek. He had barely left my home. He seen me inside my house.
A doppelganger?
When he went to go park, he seen me calling them to the woods.
Yeah, you had a doppelganger.
So he got scared. Right? He went back to my house and he parked because I didn't know he was in town. He didn't tell me. So he said he see me in my house. We went back park, and he was like trying to figure out. So Sunday morning came along. It was a Saturday night when this happened. I hear somebody knocking on my door, and it's him, and he's telling me the story that he knows that there's something there. And you know how you said double hanger? Well, the thing that I was thinking more of was more because it's native land. It used to be native land at one point in time, maybe Indian burial ground. I don't know. That all of Central Texas. Skinwalker, shapeshifter. There you go.
Yeah, Skinwalker.
That's why I talk about the shapeshifter and the dog, because I've seen the Skinwalker. I've seen the old man wearing the coyote thing. I follow him out of the park.
Yeah.
You know, because I lived through it, and I lived there for 15, 16 years. So I had all these encounters, all these experiences that are real. And I tell people, look, if you don't believe me, you can come check it out for yourself, because they're going to show themselves to you. If they have an opening, they're going to show themselves to you.
Yeah, they will. My sister and I, when we were little, we lived up on, like we were at Granddaddy's side of the ridge. We go over there and hang out. We spend the summer and all that kind of stuff. And one night, I guess we were about 5, 6 years old. My sister's 2.5 years younger than me. We were that young. We saw this young Indian chief. He was young. You could tell he was young. He was probably 16, 17, 18, maybe like that. Well, he would poof, and then his orb was blue, and he would dance all the way around the room, and my sister and I would watch him. We nicknamed him Blue Light. It's
yeah,
almost like
blue is a good one, because
I thought, yeah. I didn't
when you
know.
have the
I
rare
was a
one.
kid. I was a kid. I didn't know. So Amy and I knew after we got older, when she and I were in our 20s, he was still coming to us. After I had my first child, my youngest is like 6.5 years apart from my oldest child.
He probably is coming at you as a guardian angel, because they say that
Kind of. I found out after the fact. I went to the where I live. I live less than 4.5 miles from an old village site on the river.
yes.
Well, I found out from an elder that when I told her what I was experiencing and what he looked like, she did a singing on the river, and he came to me off the river. His name was Blue Fox. He was one of the warriors that our river here is called the Tennessee River. Before
Yes.
it was the Tennessee, it was called the Alabama.
Yes.
Before that, it was called Hogahigi. That is what the Indians called it. So on the other side of the river, if you were having trouble and you needed safe crossing, this is the river you came to. This is the spot you came to. They helped people from the Underground Railroad, all this kind of stuff. They helped free slaves, free native slaves from the white men. They would come and they'd bring them to our side of the river over here. It was called the River of Safe Crossing. That's what that means. And Blue Fox was one of the warriors that was bringing someone across the river, and he was shot in the back.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and the reason why we were familiar is part of his family were kin to my family. That's how we knew each other. I didn't know any of that until I found out from my cousin Val. And so all the time that we had him around us growing up, he was this blue orb of light. He would show up and he would dance around the room, and we called him Blue Light. We would take a flashlight out and we would, do the little flashlight thing and dance around the room with it. And yeah, I have to tell people, spirits can be positive. Angelic experiences can be positive. If they're from God, they're going to be positive. They're not going to tell you to do anything bad.
Yes.
They're not going to tell you be angry with someone, or you see that, you earned it, take it.
And it's not going to bring you an image of lust or of any kind of that way. It's not going to bring that image into your mind. I tell people that brings that image, rebuke it, because it's something bad. Or if it brings the image of you hurting somebody or causing pain to somebody, rebuke it.
Or yourself.
Yeah, or yourself. Vice versa, because that's what it tries to do. It tries to show you pictures, even through pictures or through a dream, as I try to attack you in that manner. It's always trying to find an spiritual opening to try to attack your vessel, your foundation. That's why I always tell people, always maintain la foundation. Don't have hatred, anger, fear, and forgive anybody from your past, so your foundation can be strong.
Yes. there's one of the techniques that I like to use is called the Sedona method. And that's like where when you have an experience or something happen to you, or you have to do something that maybe causes you discomfort, or something has happened to you that's bad and it has created trauma in your life and you're stuck and you can't move from it. The Sedona method is part of learning how to release that. One of, I'll have to look it up. I'll have to send you a copy of a
Yes,
screenshot for you. But
maybe
it helps you feel it. Yeah, it
yes,
helps you feel it, experience it, allow it to be there for the moment, because part of the reason why things like that hurt us is we don't acknowledge the damage inside of us. We're not acknowledging it, and we're shoving it and stuffing it down with food or work or whatever, so that when we do get encountered by these things that are spiritual, we can't express to ourselves what we're actually looking at. To us, it just looks like, oh wow, I had a special encounter. We're not thinking about the negativity that could be attached to it. So
yes.
learning to let the trauma in our life go, we're more happy, therefore we're not drawing the negative spirits to us.
Exactly. That's why trauma is something happened. That's why you have to forgive and let it go, live in the past.
Yeah.
Can't let that trauma still control your life. I know people that things happened to them a long time ago, and they're still letting that thing that happened a long time ago affect them now in the present. And it's kind of like not
Yeah.
forgiving, not letting it go. You have to either forgive if you cause something in a bad way, or repent for your sins. But once you do that, things become better for you. And the Heavenly Father, He'll bless you spiritually with the spiritual gifts of discernment.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I have images. Most of the images that I catch, sister, I'm in the picture. And the reason I'm in the picture, because I'm making a video just like me and you are talking right now. And I'm talking in the video of why I'm there and stuff like that. And these images are coming out behind me. So when I look at the images, I make short reels and put it on YouTube or sometimes there, but people are not really looking to what I'm doing. So when I do the picture, I'll do a screenshot, and I have to slow down the video because they're moving so fast. So I can actually capture the image of what's there. So when I put it, and sometimes if I'm in the picture, it's like, hey, how come you're always taking selfies? It's not that I'm taking a selfie, it's because it's the way the camera's facing.
Well, it's not just that, Abe. If you think about it, if they can see you and the back of you is blurry, that's where the action is.
Yeah.
All of that back there is where the action is. That's where that might be slowed down. You're up front in the picture, and it's refined on you, and you're focused, right? You're focused.
Yeah.
The thing is, why is everything so unfocused, right? It's not because it is. You are your vision, your picture is right there to show that it's not unfocused in the background. You're trying to catch the action back here.
It's what it is. It's how should I say? They're in a whole different dimension, right? They're in a whole different dimension. That they're going to look different than how I'm looking in our dimension, because you got the hell realm or whatever people want to call it, fourth dimension, third dimension, and they're going to look different. They're on a whole different spiritual platform or atmosphere than what we are. Basically, that's what it is. That's why they come out like that. In which my phone hasn't acted up when I'm out there, but I catch myself. I'm there. I'm perfect, but it's everything that's behind me, where it's you can see movement and everything. So that's why I have to slow it down.
Yeah, I've actually seen glitches like that too.
The last video that I made, there was no sunlight in the sky because it was fixing to rain. As a matter of fact, that day we had I don't know if you heard in Texas, there are a lot of tornadoes. That was the same day I made that video. There was no clouds. There was no sun out because it was cloudy. So there was no sun, and I still caught all those images. And I put it to the test because, people talk about pareidolia. So there was no sun to cause any kind of effect in any kind of ways. And I caught all those images. And I still have images that I haven't put out there that I want to work on it. But I'll tell you what, the last trip I went here, the closest one to the house that I went to, because of what happened in my house. What happened in my house is I heard some activity in the backyard, and we could hear somebody walking inside the room like they were dragging their feet. I woke up and I was like, oh, maybe it was just a dream. And then, but my wife, she's like, hey, did you hear something last night? And I told her what I heard, and she said, oh my God, I heard the same thing. So then I knew that it was just me. So that's the only reason I went back out there, because of what happened in my house, to let them know, hey, don't be coming over here and this and that,
right.
On the video that I made. And this is what people don't understand, that, like I said, if somebody were to break into your house that was here in the flesh form, they're quick and easily to draw a gun, right, to scare them off or whatever, to protect their foundation or their home. Well, I'm protecting my foundation and my home spiritually. That's what I do. Is something comes and invades my home, I'm gonna bless my home first, and then I'm gonna go to the area where I feel that it's coming from and say, hey, welcome to come home to my house. It's kind of like if you have a friend and they're drunk and they cause a big old scene at your house, and so you're gonna go to your friend that caused a scenery at your house. Hey, welcome to come to the house no more because you were acting dumb or acting a certain way. You're not welcome to come because you're disrespecting my home. Vice versa, right? Spiritually, we have to do the same thing.
Yeah, and the other thing is, like, have you ever had whatever there is there that's spiritual? When you feel that there is something around you, you can discern that there's something around you. Have you ever had it tried? Have you ever had it try to like pull you back with it? Like, in other words, it's trying to grab you and grab a hold of you and draw you back with it. There was a young lady that contacted me. She saw this thing. She couldn't really make it out, but it was trying to latch on to her husband and pull him back with it. And I said, well, they're in a different frequency than we are. It might can reach out and say hello like South Central Bell used to.
Yes.
But it can say you can reach out and say hi, but it can't bring us back with it because we operate on a different dimensional level.
I seen it do that one evening. There was already like 11:30 or 12 o'clock. I told you there was 2 weekends that came. One had already gotten dropped. Well, the guy that got him dropped, he was younger. He was like 17 at the time. I had to pick him up, and he left. He came back 2 years later. 2 years later. Came back 2 years later. The day that he got dropped, he was seeing the dark shadow figures, and the things that I would see, he was seeing. He was describing it. He was all scared. He was starting hitting the back of his car. He was all scared. So they took him, and I just started praying. I was praying to our Father. He came back 2 years later, and he said that he was ready to take on what was there, that he was going to close the portal and all this stuff. We went in there. He was in the path, and I don't know what he was doing there, but next thing you know, as I'm about the sweet set, you say about getting pulled in?
Yes.
He started getting pulled in. Started going in phases, getting pulled into the darkness. So I did the sign of the cross, and I went after him, and I grabbed him, and I pulled him out of there, brought him back to safety. When I pulled him out of there, he had lost all his energy because he drained him, and I never seen him again. But I pulled him out of there. It was taking him into the darkness. I seen them. They're in a different frequency. I was walking on the highway. And I seen a African American get picked up in the air by unseen force and get slammed like 3 or 4 times. Boom, boom. It was tall. It was slamming him on the ground. So I go over there and I'm looking. He's laid out on the ground, and I'm saying, "Sir, do you need help?" And he's not responding. He was unconscious, So I crossed the bridge to his side. And I'm yelling at him, "Sir, do you need help?" Because I knew that something picked him up that was unseen, I had already had my experiences. So he finally gets up and he starts stumbling. And he comes towards me in the middle of the bridge. There's no rail or nothing. He stumbles and he says, "Next time I see you, I'm going to kill you." So right there and then I knew that he was possessed. And
now,
I'm looking
you know
at
the 3 stages, right? You know the 3 stages of possession.
So, what are the 3 stages of possession?
Okay, the 3 stages of possession is obsession, where the entity becomes obsessed with you. 2, it starts oppressing you. 3 is the actual possession. Well, yeah, the part of oppression is where you see most of the activity. Yes. During obsession, where they become obsessed with you, is when they're whispering little things in your ear. Yes. You know, hey, you know, why don't you go try this? Or that person isn't really your friend. And they start separating you from the people that can protect you. Oppression is where you have already been isolated, and you're isolating yourself further, and you go into a deep depression. And then the entity, once it gets you weak enough, it can take over you. Yes. And once it takes you over, you become possessed.
Yeah, and that man.
Go ahead.
He had already slammed him, and he said that I could sense that it was something in him, and he kept on telling me, next time I see you, I'm gonna kill you. I was like, come on, sir, let me help you. And I helped him across the bridge and went to a Family Dollar that was in the corner where I'm thinking a Dollar General, not Dollar General. Dollar Tree, because he changed names. And he kept on repeating himself. I took him in the store and I said, let me get some water for you. I want to go grab some water. And I was blessing it spiritually, you know, blessing the water. And he went up to the clerk and asked her for her name, and she told him her name, and he told her the same thing he told me. Next time I see you, I'm gonna kill you. She got scared, and I said, no. You know, he hit his head when he got slammed over there on the bridge. So I wasn't trying to bring it to the subject of that he was possessed. So I gave him the water. I opened it up for him, and he started drinking the water. I had blessed it. You know, I prayed for God to bless it. I was just going to
ask you if you did that.
Yes, yeah. I had prayed to God to bless the water, and he drank the water. Next thing you know, he's back to normal, and he's like, "Hey, thank you, buddy, for the water. I really appreciate it." And then he looked at the girl, and the girl just looking at him is like, I said, "Hey, man, can I ask you what happened?" He said, "Well, I ran out of gas, and I was walking back home to get my gas tank so I could go fill up my truck."
Didn't remember a thing.
You don't remember what happened on the bridge, how he got to the store.
Yeah, and that's how it often will happen, because their consciousness is way in the background, and whatever demon or force is trying to take them over is in the foreground, acting in their meat suit. I hate to say that, but I mean, we are a meat suit to them. We're puppets.
Yes, we're vessels, or foundation, you know, we're vessels, you know. Okay. That's what they call it, a host. A host, right? They try to invade our vessel, which is a host. They're the host, and we're a vessel. They try to come and invade us. Yeah.
Okay, so let's shift gears a little bit before I have to take off, because I've got to get ready for work. But okay, so when you are trying to protect someone from these things, it doesn't matter if they're believers or not, as long as they believe that you're going to help them. It has been my experience that, you know, when people that I've seen in those instances where I can feel that they're being controlled by something else, or they're being oppressed by something else, that sometimes doing something they can't see is your best bet. Because if an entity is very sharp and you're not exactly on your toes that day, say you're tired, and it's just from work, you know what I'm saying? It's tired from work. It's not tired from the spiritual work. Like, what I do is I'll get holy oil and I'll make the sign of the cross in my hands. That's my protection for the day. If someone I walk up and touch them on the shoulder and I'll tell them, "I love you." Yes. And I'll walk away. They don't know that they've been marked. They were marked by me. Yes. But I actually had a woman who came into my clinic one day, and she was having a lot of problems at home. And they call us massage therapists because the therapist part is while we're working, they're talking or sleeping, whichever. But this particular one, this older lady, sorry, my cat was acting weird for a minute. She's backing up. And okay. Anyway, so I apologize. My kitten is doing the kitten thing.
That's fine.
So while I was working on her, I asked her, because I do medical work. I don't do the spa stuff. I actually do the medical side of massage. And she had been experiencing some pain and stuff like that after physical therapy. She was hurting real bad, and asked the doctor what they could do, and she needed something to help her stretch, and things to help ease her muscles from the pain. So he gave her prescription to come see me. And what I did while she was talking is I took one of my oils. I have one. The company is not important, but there's a combination of oils that they make in one that's all the oils that are in the Bible.
Yes.
All of them combined. And I took a drop of that and I made the sign of the cross in the palms of my hands and I worked her feet. And I asked God to take everywhere she's trodden, every word she's tried to say, every place she's tried to project love, and keep it protected, to keep her safe. When I got to her hands, I did the same thing. Let everything she touched be blessed. Everything she touched be of God. Everything she touched be of light, and nothing can enter her. Every time I would touch an inlet or an outlet or some type of receiving from this world, her ears, her nose, her mouth, when I did the sinus part of her massage, I did the same thing. After she woke up and I exited the room, I told her, we were finished. It was time for her to leave. She came outside to pay and she looked at me and she said, don't get me wrong. I am not taking credit for this. Okay. People hear me. I'm not bragging. I'm not taking credit for this. She says, I don't know what you did, but that was the best massage, the best work I have ever had. And I feel so different. Why do I feel different? And I said, because we're all just messengers. We're just here to reconnect you back to source where you were from.
Yes.
Sometimes we live our daily life and we forget that we're connected to source, which is love. We forget we're connected to God in that way. We don't look at love like it's supposed to be an everyday thing. A lot of people think love is, coming home and hugging my kids. Yes, it is. But so is you when you're at work and someone needs a kind word. You might be the only face smiling that they see that day.
Yes.
Our influence goes far and wide. So while we're discussing, these entities, they can be scary to some people. The things that happen to them, like the Beast of Bray Road incident, the hairy man. We have tales about the hairy man. At first, everybody used to believe it was just a story that the old men told us at the campfire to keep kids out of the woods at night.
Yeah, I think the hairy men are in the Bible. They talk about
They
the ones
are.
that live in the thickets.
Yes.
My cousin Victor, we had made a video about that. They talk about the hairy men that live in the thickets in the brush.
Yes. And us kids, we used to laugh at the old men.
Which that
who
would be
sit
like a
around them.
squash, right? The hairy men would be like a squash. But people,
Yes. So, and they would not want us to encounter something like that because it was dangerous. But my grandfather, he was a holy man. He wasn't a medicine man. He was a holy man. And he used to tell us, he said, there's a difference, daughter, between medicine and holiness. And if I could pick the one of the two for you, I would always choose holiness over medicine because it's more important. So that's kind of the walk I've always led. And so when I've encountered something that, and with all the cryptids being a craze now, we have things that are trying to look like Mothman, things that are trying to look like the Shadow Man. You know what I'm saying? There are all of these things too.
But you got to think about it. The main thing is that what's causing that is that they're believing in it. So the more they believe in it, the more it's going to manifest and show itself to them because it's trying to lure them in.
That's what I'm talking about. So we have to protect our thoughts. We have to protect our heart.
Yeah, you hear about they were being spotted. They said that the Mothman and the Shadow Man and Dogman were being spotted in Chicago. What's happened in Chicago? A lot of deaths, a lot of killings.
Virginia
That's what they're being spotted because
Look at Virginia.
of the anger, the hatred, and the fear.
Yeah.
That's what they're appearing there. The demonic beings, and they go feed, like trying to find a host to see who's going to be the next victim.
And right now, with everybody being so scattered and, the world being so open wide to everything, all the fighting and all this carrying on, it's more prevalent than ever because of the animosity. And what are you doing, silly? I'm sorry, I got a cat. Kitty in my lap.
Yeah.
Kitty. So, before I've got to take off here. I've got to get ready for work, but
Well, it's just,
um,
well, it was nice talking to you, and maybe another day whenever you're available, maybe you want to do, what times do you work? Do you work during the week? Maybe we can do.
it kind of depends.
I'm glad that you came out on here and we talked about I'm going to share it, like I said, on YouTube and
Yeah.
probably share it on the other sites too. I mean, I know Brother Michael, he really don't like us to talk about spiritual stuff, so I'm going to share it there because he told me last time not to be talking about spiritual stuff because, you know, he wants to leave it as cryptid.
Well,
So,
there are a lot of things in the background that he doesn't understand about that too. He's more
yeah,
on the cryptid side. Yeah, we do have the cryptid thing, but there are things right now that people get confused about because
how
it's
you doing,
imitating
sister?
things that people are.
That's my sister Beatrice right there. How's doing, Sister B?
Hello.
Yeah, but yes, I understand. He said he's trying to keep his group just about cryptids, you know, and I'm
Yes.
trying to bring the other different spiritual aspect. I don't know if I'm the first one that done that, or there's other people that think the same way I do. But I've been doing it for a while now. You know, ever since like I said, my positive spiritualist was my original group that I had, but it all got deleted because Facebook permanently
I
deleted
saw
my old account.
that. I
My
saw
old
that.
account, it did
Yeah.
permanently delete all my stuff except one video that I still have because I had downloaded it. But they permanently deleted everything, you know. And I've been on Facebook since 2010, 2000. So I've been doing this
Yeah.
work for a while, you know.
Yeah.
But, but
Well,
that's
I'm
okay.
glad that you're back, Abe. I'm glad that you're back to share and help people work through their feelings and work through their
Yes,
experiences and the important thing is that yes, we do really have these experiences. They are real. They're real to us. They're real to those who are seeing them, and we have to learn how to discern those experiences, whether or not it's a real entity or not. And even then, that's even beside the case. We have to protect ourselves. We have to protect ourselves from bringing anything in that is harmful for us and
exactly.
for our family. And that's even with, like you were talking about, like vampires, you have to invite them in to come in. Any entity, just flat out tell them, look, you're not welcome here if you're not from the light.
Exactly. You know, you hear a banging, a tapping sound in your window, a banging, a knock. Say, hey, you know, welcome here, leave. Right off the bat. If you do that right off the bat, you eliminate a lot of other things from happening. But when you
Exactly.
start believing in the knocks and then you start hearing voices, then it starts. It brings a lot of trouble to your foundation.
It
So
does.
you
It
have to
really
take
does.
authority of it right off the bat.
It really
But thank you
does.
for coming on. I know you got to go. Is there? Would you like to say a prayer for the guest or whoever's going to do this video? Would you like to do a prayer or?
I actually can next time, but yeah, I'll close out with you if you would like to do that.
All right.
I'm distracted over here right now.
Okay. Heavenly Father, at this time, I would like to pray for all my brothers and sisters that are going through something spiritually, for them to know that they're not by themselves, that you're with them at all times, for them to maintain a love foundation, and through a love foundation that will get spiritually blessed through the spiritual gifts of
Mhm.
discernment, and love is the greatest gift of all the spiritual gifts.
Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Definitely in agreement. Thank you so much, Abe, for inviting me today.
No
Maybe
problem.
next time, ask me, like, if
Yeah,
we can get together on an off day, we'll make
yeah. Just let me know whenever you're off day, and I can post ahead of time so people can see, you know, maybe a picture of
Mhm.
you, and we can talk about whatever you want
Yeah,
to talk about.
not when I'm covered up in fur balls and babysitting for kids until I have to get. Believe it or not, cats are wonderful, but they're also an awesome distraction.
All
But
righty, sister.
thank you so much
You have a
for
beautiful, blessed
inviting
day.
me. Hi, it's nice to meet you. I'll meet you next time, and I hope you guys have a blessed afternoon.
Love, light, and blessings. Peace.